The sixth episode of the Pulisic documentary series delivers an emotional roller coaster as it explores one of the most pivotal chapters in both Christian Pulisic's career and modern U.S. soccer history. Through the lens of Pulisic's relationship with American soccer legend Clint Dempsey, the episode charts the young star's journey from fanboy to teammate, culminating in the devastating failure to qualify for the 2018 World Cup and the symbolic passing of the torch that followed. The episode opens with Dempsey arriving at Pulisic's home for what appears to be a casual hangout between friends and former teammates. Their comfortable rapport immediately suggests a relationship that has evolved from mentor-mentee to genuine friendship. "Once I beat your goal-scoring record, then I'll..." Pulisic jokes, to which Dempsey quickly responds, "Shoot, it ain't gonna take you long to do that. You already tearing it up, man." This light-hearted exchange carries deeper meaning, as it foreshadows the transition of leadership from one generation to the next that becomes the episode's central theme. Their friendship moves from the living room to the golf course, where the competitive nature of both athletes shines through. Off the side of this mountain, Dempsey laments after a poor tee shot, while Pulisic impresses with his game. The golf outing serves as a vehicle for reflection, with Pulisic acknowledging Dempsey's importance in his development. "He was always someone that would talk to me, and I think he saw some of himself in me as well." The parallels between them become apparent, both technically gifted, creative attackers with flair and confidence that set them apart from their American peers. The episode then takes viewers back to Pulisic's earliest days with the U.S. men's national team, showing footage of a 15-year-old Pulisic attending a team luncheon where he meets his heroes. "These guys really inspire me, and I just want to be in their shoes one day," the young Pulisic says earnestly in archival footage. Former U.S. coach JURGEN provides context. "What Christian is going through since 15, 16 is a different type of educational path. You mature a lot faster." This accelerated maturation becomes a recurring theme, as Pulisic navigated adult professional environments while his peers were experiencing normal teenage milestones. One of the episode's most revealing segments explores how Pulisic attempted to recapture at least one typical high school experience, attending his prom. The story of Pulisic's private jet journey from national team camp to his high school prom and back showcases the extraordinary circumstances of his young life. "I went straight from training the day before the game, made it for the evening there. Prom, flew straight back in the morning in time for the game," Pulisic explains, almost embarrassed by the extravagance. His father Mark adds context. "I was probably sick to my stomach about it," referring to the cost of the private jet, which is estimated at $30,000 to $50,000. The prom story takes on legendary status as viewers learn that the following day, Pulisic scored his first goal for the U.S. national team. Christian Pulisic flies on a private jet to prom, hops back on that same jet, touches down with the U.S. men's national team, and says, "You know what? Tonight sounds like a good night to make history," one commentator observes. This juxtaposition of normal teenage experiences with extraordinary professional achievements crystallizes Pulisic's unique position as both a regular young person and an emerging global sports star. The episode then shifts to more serious territory, detailing the 2018 World Cup qualifying campaign. What begins with optimism and momentum gradually unravels into one of the darkest chapters in U.S. soccer history. "For whatever reason, we were struggling to really produce," Josie Altidore recalls of the qualification process. The inconsistent performances created mounting pressure as qualification came down to the final matches. After a convincing 4-0 victory over Panama in which Pulisic starred, the U.S. needed just a draw against Trinidad and Tobago to secure their spot in Russia. The tension builds as the documentary shows footage of the waterlogged training field in Trinidad, which some players treated with humor rather than concern. "You could see that we were light-hearted in a good way," Altidore remembers. "You can see in a way, though, that the team was not prepared for what was going to happen." This foreshadowing creates a sense of impending doom as the episode reconstructs the fateful match through game footage and player recollections. The Trinidad and Tobago match unfolds like a nightmare, with an own goal and a spectacular long-range strike putting the U.S. down 2-0 at halftime. "I mean, it was definitely a shock to our system," Pulisic recalls. It was like, wow, this is real. Despite Pulisic scoring early in the second half to give the team hope, the comeback falls short. The cameras capture the raw emotion of the final whistle. Pulisic collapsed on the field, shirt pulled over his face, embodying the heartbreak of an entire nation. To think about Christian in that moment, his hands on his knees, his shirt over his face. He became almost the totem of that night, one commentator observes. The documentary doesn't shy away from the devastating impact of this failure. Pulisic's mother Kelly provides particularly touching insight. Just watching him on the ground, just feeling that pain for your child. I mean, you always feel for your child when they're hurt, mentally, emotionally. You can't fix that. Mark Pulisic adds. One of his biggest dreams was to play in a World Cup, underscoring the magnitude of the disappointment for his son personally. In one of the episode's most poignant moments, Dempsey reveals his conversation with Pulisic after the elimination. I remember talking to Christian and being like, it's your team moving forward. You're gonna have to take it to another level. His final words, you're the man now, bro, symbolized the official changing of the guard in U.S. soccer. At 34, Dempsey knew his World Cup opportunities were likely over, while the 19-year-old Pulisic would have to carry the burden of rebuilding American soccer's reputation. Throughout the episode, the documentary weaves in Pulisic's friendships with Danny and Nick, childhood friends who provide grounding amid his extraordinary career trajectory. Christian genuinely wants the best for the people he cares about. Nick explains, offering insight into Pulisic's character beyond the pitch. These friendships represent connections to Pulisic's pre-fame life, a theme reinforced by the PROM story and his relationship with date Grace Brugmeyer, who remained friends with him years later. The episode effectively uses Dempsey as both a character within the story and a narrative device to explore Pulisic's development. Dempsey's initial assessment of young Pulisic captures his quiet determination. He wasn't really, like, cocky, talking shit. He was just got his head down, came in there, let his kind of work speak for itself. This understated approach contradicts the flashy style Pulisic displays on the field, revealing the duality of his persona, bold in play but humble in person. One of the episode's strengths is how it connects Pulisic's personal journey to the larger narrative of American soccer. The Trinidad and Tobago failure represents not just his individual disappointment, but a national sporting catastrophe. When Taylor Twellman's famous rant, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" plays over footage of dejected players, it contextualizes the broader implications of this failure for U.S. soccer's development. The episode presents Pulisic as both a victim of systemic failures and the potential savior who could lead American soccer into a new era. The documentary doesn't assign blame for the qualification failure but presents various contributing factors: coaching changes, from JURGEN KLINSMANN to Bruce Arena, inconsistent performances, overconfidence against Trinidad and Tobago, and perhaps an over-reliance on aging stars. Through it all, Pulisic emerges as the lone bright spot, the player who gave his heart during that cycle, as his father puts it. This framing positions the World Cup failure as the painful but necessary catalyst for Pulisic's ascension to team leader. Dempsey's perspective on Pulisic adds significant weight to the narrative. He was one of the main guys, Dempsey says of Pulisic during qualifying. The goals and assists that he had during the qualifying process, if he didn't have, we wouldn't even have been in that situation. This endorsement from an American soccer legend validates Pulisic's importance despite the ultimate failure. When Dempsey admits, "Jurgen should have played you more, especially in the semi-final," it reinforces the sense that Pulisic was ready for a bigger role earlier than he was given. For soccer fans, the episode offers fascinating insights into player-coach dynamics. KLINSMANN's confusion over Pulisic's PROM request. "I had no idea, what are we talking about?" Contrasted with Bruce Arena's decision to use Dempsey as a super sub, despite his prolific scoring record, illuminates the complicated relationships between coaches and players. Pulisic navigated these dynamics as a teenager, adding another layer to his accelerated development into adulthood. The episode concludes with the Kansas song, "Carry On My Wayward Son," playing over a montage of Pulisic's journey. The lyrics, "There'll be peace when you are done," serving as both comfort for the World Cup disappointment and foreshadowing a future redemption. This musical choice reinforces the episode's central message that failure, while painful, can be transformative. For Pulisic, the Trinidad and Tobago disaster marked the end of his apprenticeship and the beginning of his leadership. What makes this episode particularly compelling is how it captures a genuine passing the torch moment in American sports history. Dempsey and Pulisic represent different eras of U.S. soccer, with Dempsey emerging from the scrappy, underdog mentality of earlier generations and Pulisic representing the technically skilled, European-trained future. Their relationship bridges these eras, with Dempsey's endorsement, "You're the man now, bro," serving as an official coronation of Pulisic as American soccer's new standard-bearer. By the episode's end, viewers understand that the 2018 World Cup qualification failure, while devastating, established Pulisic as the face of U.S. soccer moving forward. The documentary frames this not just as a responsibility thrust upon him but as a challenge he was prepared to accept. Through the parallel stories of Pulisic's teenage normalcy, attending prom, and his exceptional talent, scoring in crucial World Cup qualifiers, the episode illustrates the unique burden placed on young athletes who become national sporting icons. For Christian Pulisic, the tears on the field in Trinidad marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, one where he would no longer follow his heroes but lead them.